You don't have to be a marathon runner to be healthy. You don't have to be a marathon walker to be healthy. You just have to make small decisions every day to try to improve a little bit here, a little bit there, and eventually that will all add up.
I'm your host, Will Melton, and today I have Will Dixon, the Executive Director of Sports Backers, a very fitting interview for our show. But if you are tuning into America's Healthiest City for the very first time, please visit americashealthiestcity.com to learn about our ideas board, where you can leave small and big ideas on ways that Richmond can become the healthiest city in America by 2033. You can learn about our community partnership, and if you represent a business, a nonprofit, an academic institution, or government agency, and you want to see our region become the healthiest in America by 2033, you can learn what it takes to become an ambassador. We all have to move in the same direction at the same time to be able to achieve this goal, so it takes all of us. So without further ado, Will, thanks for joining me. This is going to be a really great conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So we didn't rehearse for this beforehand, didn't even have a preparatory conversation, but you and I have spent probably more time outside of this city together than we have here in the city. So we've had lots of conversations about the ways that our city's evolving and the things that are influencing that. But I have to say, it's been now, I guess, a year and a half since you've taken your position. I actually had the opportunity to interview John Lugbill before he retired, and quite a bit has changed since then. I think there's just always things changing in Richmond. So I'm excited about what we're going to talk about. But before we dive in to all things sports backers, I want to learn more about you. I want our audience to learn more about you. And the first question we ask all of our guests is, where did you come from? If you didn't come from here, and if you're not from here, what caused you to come this way?
Yeah, I might be more and more in the minority these days, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I'm actually born and raised here in Richmond. Grew up in the West End, out in Short Pump area, went to Godwin High School, off to James Madison University for college, and then right back here, and was fortunate to land a job with Sports Backers as an intern, and have been here for the last 18, coming up on 19 years.
Well, I don't want to put you on the spot, but did you make it to the JMU RVA alumni event this past weekend?
I did not. I've said this to so many different alum. Like I keep on saying, like, I'm going to get more plugged in, and then life happens, and I haven't.
Well, Richmond Water was out there supplying water, and we've got a Duke in the house, so that's the only reason I asked.
Yeah,
but it looked like a good time. Well, you're here in Richmond. You've come back after trying to get away. What is it about this place that you find to be so special?
I think that Richmonders genuinely want to see other people be successful. I think that Richmonders want to help other people be successful. And so I think we are a town of doers. And I've always kind of felt that we are a town that recognizes that you have to put in the work if you want to have the result that you're striving for. And I know this is maybe not true in all cases, but I'd like to think that we have a rising tide lifts all boats kind of mentality. And it's certainly the mentality that I try to bring, and that Sports Backers tries to bring, is, if we can be helpful in other people being successful with whatever they're striving for, then at the end of the day, that's only going to lift us all up. So, I think that is special about here. And again, we've gone to other cities through the Chamber's visit, intercity visit, and I think that in some cases you see that work well, and maybe in other cases you see it maybe not so much.
Well, Sports Backers has been incredibly successful, and that has no doubt had a very positive impact on our city, our tourism, lots of other things. But I'm curious, what is it that got you into this work in the first place? Tell us a little bit about your history with Sports Backers, before Sports Backers, and what is it about the job specifically that makes you in love?
Yeah, what got me into the job, I interned with the Richmond Kickers while I was in college. I had a great experience there. Grew up playing soccer, I grew up swimming, grew up playing tennis, a little bit of basketball, a lot of soccer, a lot of swimming. And my mom was a group fitness instructor. She was a personal trainer, like physical activity. I grew up, sitting in the corner of a multi-purpose room at the Tuckahoe YMCA, watching my mom teach aerobics classes back in the 90s. So I've always been around the physical activity as kind of just part of who I was. And I studied sport and recreation management in college and interned with the Kickers, came back to Richmond, knew I wanted to be in Richmond, or I may just say, the sports scene in Richmond is different than a lot of other cities. We don't have a Major League Baseball team. We don't have a Major League Soccer team. We don't have an NFL team. We don't have an NHL team. The sports scene, yes, we have University of Richmond, we have VCU, you got your college athletics, but the sports scene was different here. And so I started putting feelers out there. I'd intern with the Kickers and reached out to John Lugbill and said, hey, I'm a recent college grad from here, have a passion for active living. I'm willing to work hard. Give me a shot. And so the timing happened to be that we were adding a lot of events that fall of 2007. And so he was like, yeah, come on out on the weekends and help set up and break down for a couple of things. The first event I worked was a cross country festival that we did at Maymont Park with about 3,000 high school kids. And I just kind of fell in love with it. I mean, it was early mornings, hard work, but the camaraderie and just the feeling of being on a team again, that I was producing something and I was contributing to something that was bigger than me, was really awesome. Was fortunate to be hired in January of 2008 full time, and have worn many, many hats since then. In this new job, yeah, I mean, it's the executive director role is different. It's much more community facing. It's much more strategizing. Working with a board of directors that wants to see this organization continue to do big things. Understanding the political landscape and the elected officials and all the decision makers, and how to engage with the community. And it's a different hat for sure. But it's been a ton of fun.
Yeah, you have your organization plays a very critical role in the region, and therefore you are playing a very critical role within your organization. And having interfaced with all the different players in this region and kind of seeing the behind the scenes a little bit, everything overlaps at the end of the day. I do want to go back though. I want to ask a question about the sleep thing. Like, when do you guys sleep when you have like big races and things? Like, I know that it gets kind of crazy over there.
It's all just a moment in time. You get a few hours of sleep the night before an event, and you wake up the next morning, you're running on adrenaline and a little muscle memory, and you just get it done. I mean, we all do that. We all are having kind of these ebbs and flows of when you have to be on and when you're able to kind of sit back and relax and reflect a little bit. And for our events, you have to be on.
Yeah.
And it's not just us, right? I mean, when you think about taking an event like the Allianz Richmond Marathon, it's thousands of volunteers, and that's not exaggeration. Literally thousands of volunteers that help put this thing on. We have over going to be upwards of 22,000 participants that are coming from all over the country, descending on our city, experiencing our city. Like, you have a responsibility to get your ass out of bed and put your best foot forward in order to, kind of give these people the experience that they've paid for, but they've been training for. They've dedicated a good chunk of their life to, this morning. Like, what better opportunity is there to peel yourself out of bed and just make something special happen for somebody else?
Yeah. Well, I want to keep going here, but I do need to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk all things sports backers.
If you want to own the internet in your domain on search and in AI search, you need a team that wrote the playbook on how to land on top. At Exponent 21, we help businesses dominate search rankings, drive traffic, and convert visitors into loyal customers. In the world of AI, it pays to be number one. You are number one. Make sure the world knows it. Go to exponent21.com and get a free multi-page SEO report when you mention America's Healthiest City.
You're listening to America's Healthiest City on Channel RVA. Used to be ESPN. Reflex there. We're interviewing Will Dixon, who is Executive Director of Sports Backers, very critical organization here in our region. But if you're tuning in for the first time, please visit channelrba.com to learn more about the media organization behind this podcast, and check out americashealthiestcity.com so you can learn more about our program. We're working to make this city the healthiest in the region, the healthiest in America by 2033, and it's for the whole region. We're all working together. So you can see how you can get involved there. Will, Sports Backers has been around for a long time, and you obviously had some big shoes to fill when you stepped into the role, but you're doing great. I've seen you interface with everybody, and everybody's enthusiastic about your leadership, including folks on your team who I've had the opportunity to interact with. So tell me a little bit about what's changed over the last year and a half, maybe a little bit about how you've been able to I know that you and I talked in Phoenix, and you said you haven't really had a big opportunity to implant a huge vision shift yet, and you're just trying to get your feet under you. But
Yep.
tell us a little bit about what that transition's been like, and are you starting to feel a bit of a vision emerge, and how things are going to change into the future?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'm going to kind of give you a similar answer, but maybe a slightly more evolved answer. The first year of me being in this role was definitely a fact-finding mission. Recognized it was a new role, learning what I didn't know, and that required one-on-ones with my entire team, one-on-ones with my board members, a lot of introductions and introductory conversations out and about in the community. Um, and really get an understanding of how people perceive sports backers. And that informed a lot for me of, okay, what opportunities exist out there that maybe we're not currently touching on, or how do we leverage our strengths better than what we currently are. I was very fortunate to, inherit or step into this role with a really strong organization. We've been very fortunate to keep our staff intact, particularly on the leadership side, and I have a very supportive board. And we're entering this coming year. So starting, I guess by the time this airs, we'll be in the final year of our 5-year strategic plan that I was a part of developing, right? So I had no real desire to come in and like shake things up, because there's no need for it. I'm not looking for a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. But this is the final year of a 5-year strategic plan, and this coming year is a huge opportunity for us to decide and start to define what the next 5 years is going to look like. When you look around the region, I mean, we just sold out the Richmond Marathon in June. We're going to sell out the Richmond Half Marathon in July, and probably by the time this airs, it might be sold out. The 8K is going to sell out. 10K, UCrops might be having 10K registrations are growing. The CarMax Tacky Light Run registrations are growing. Our events are just growing. So we're kind of riding this running boom wave right now that might provide some new opportunities for us to do some new things going forward. And then you look around the region, you have the first 5 miles of the Fall Line Trail. Just had the ribbon cutting coming up on a year ago. We're going to have over 12 additional miles of the Fall Line under construction this coming year. The segment in Bryant Park is going to be open here any moment. If you haven't gone out and checked that out, the segment in Bryant Park is just phenomenal. Connects all these amenities, the park, the bathrooms, to the soccer fields, to the playground, to the tennis courts, to the pavilion. It's awesome.
My wife goes there every Friday with the dogs, and she was telling me, she's like, there's a bunch of construction. They're building a trail over there. I was like, yeah, that's the Fall Line Trail. She's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, that's the Fall Line Trail.
It's the Fall Line Trail. Yeah, and it's right by our offices. So, I mean, I just think that as you see this, this kind of, we describe it a little bit as a canvas, right? The Fall Line is creating this new canvas throughout the heart of the region that is going to provide an opportunity for vibrancy, for connectivity, for economic development. And so just continuing for sports backers to understand what our role is and helping kind of create this culture of active living and a vibrant culture and using physical activity as the conduit for creating community. We haven't had an opportunity like this before because the Fall Line has never existed before. So I'm really excited to dig in with our board and our community partners and our staff to figure out, like, really dial in what that's going to look like.
Have you been charged to think further into the future and kind of what Richmond's going to look like maybe 10 or 15 or 20 years down the road, and wonder what kind of role sports backers might need to play as those things change?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that the space that we're in, despite everything changing, I mean, AI and, all the technology advancements and transportation advancements, all of this technology advancements, ultimately we have a human need for connection. And I have yet to find something that it speaks to me and clearly tens of thousands of others, if not millions of others, like physical activity to provide that moment of connection. So I think that if we continue to look at what exercise and human movement can do to create community and bring us together around shared values, shared beliefs, like, yeah, we might have to find new ways to activate that and to create those opportunities, but there's always going to be a need for that. I mean, that's just the way that we're wired as people. that we have a desire and a drive to build bonds with each other. And to me, the shared experience of moving our bodies together is a platform like nothing else that's never going to be replaced. I don't know how it could be replaced. You can tell me how it can be replaced at some point in the future, but
Well, I don't think it will be. And it seems like I can't get through one of these without mentioning my daily gym habit and how much fun I have with people that I do that with every day. Same people every day, 6 a.m. There's a 5 a.m. crew, they're different. There's a 7 a.m. crew, they're different.
Yeah.
But my 6 a.m. people,
they're your people.
they're my people.
And the beautiful thing to me is I work out by myself. I have a gym in my garage. I wake up in the morning and I lift, and it is my me time. I also went out to marathon training team, the first week of marathon training team a couple of weeks ago, and there's 1,400 people on marathon training team. They exercise together. That is it's a lot of their social times, it's accountability. And then you show up on an event day and you see, the thousands of people that are participating, all at the same start line, all striving for the same finish line, but being supported by thousands of volunteers, tens of thousands of spectators, cheering them on. And that's almost that's like a spiritual moment, right? That is we are all in this together sort of thing. So to me, the beauty of your routine, whether it's your small group or the fact that there also is a 5 a.m. group and a 7 a.m. group, that it's scalable and it's just as impactful at any scale, any slice that you want to look at the scale. It's just as impactful as the next one up and the next one down. And so that's, again, I'm going to come back to the need and the multitude of benefits that any individual person up to an entire community can get from being physically active.
All right, so I got a trick question here. It's not really a trick question, but I wonder to myself, does anybody on the Sports Backers team ever get to run in any of these races? Because I'm like, when do you ever participate in the group activity?
Yeah,
It's work out by yourself. You got to run the race. You don't got to run the race.
Well, we do walking staff meetings. I had a one-on-one, annual review with one of my team members yesterday that we walked and talked. So there's lots of opportunities for us to be active together. The Markel corporate run is the one event that we encourage our employees to come out and actually run.
Okay.
It's not an all hands on deck type of event, like the marathon or the 10K might be. And so we often have a little more bandwidth to say, come out and just do the 5K and enjoy yourself. The Carmack Tacky Light Run in December is another one that takes some staffing, but there's often, not everybody works that event. And so we'll have a lot of our employees will bring their families out and do that event. We have a lot of people that do the training teams, marathon training team, 10K training team, half marathon training team, and then we'll go and run a different race.
Yeah.
Which we also
That's
encourage too, right? I mean, we can learn things.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So they get the benefit of the training, but they're not actually, on marathon day, you got to work.
Yeah, good answer. I didn't think about going to the other races. It makes a ton of sense. Well, so these things are growing. You guys are hitting your max on these races. You're marketing these things is hard, and so that part's apparently easy now. But you get the numbers. I won't put words in your mouth. You get the numbers. You see the data. Where are people coming from? Are we seeing more people moving to the region that are running in these races? More people who live here running in these races. We have a lot more people just visiting Richmond to run. What's happening?
It's a combination. As I mentioned, our marathon training team, we have 1,400 people that meet every Saturday or Sunday for 24 weeks leading up to the marathon. That is, you'll see them if you're in Richmond and you're in the city on a Saturday or Sunday morning between now and mid-November, you'll see them out there. There's also a ton of other run clubs that are popping up, local run clubs that are popping up, and we're incredibly supportive of, and we love to see that happening because that's showing that people are kind of saying, this matters to me, or I want to build community around this thing, and running, walking, whatever it may be. So there is a groundswell here locally for running, walking, physical activity in general. You see a niche fitness studio on every corner, and I think the YMCA's and your Gold's gyms and all are doing really, really well. But for the events, I would say, and for the events on a national scale, Richmond is more of a destination now than it was, say, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And that's a huge testament to Richmond Region tourism, Virginia tourism, and a lot of the great local things that we have going on here. And that's, even things like the Richmond United's Jefferson Cup, the youth sports tournaments. If you come here and your kid's playing in a soccer tournament or a lacrosse tournament or a field hockey tournament, and you get to experience downtown Richmond and the river, or you go up to Kings Dominion for a day, whatever it may be, then, there's a desire to want to come back here that may not have existed a couple of decades ago. So events are moments in time that drive people to come to a place, but their experience here is going to dictate whether or not they come back. And so I think what we're seeing is, a really strong travel mix. Depends on the event. People travel further for longer distance things that they've been having to prepare for, right? But for the marathon in particular, I think we have about 60% of our participants come from outside of 50 miles. Actually, it might be 60% from outside of the state of Virginia that come for the marathons. A lot of repeat, but also very well known as a great first-time marathon because it's not huge, It's not the New York Marathon. It's not Chicago. It's not LA. And Richmond's more accessible than a lot of these other big cities in a lot of ways. And that's, cost of hotel rooms. It's cost to get here. It's just accessibility from being a drive market. And then the race itself is a large race, but, and I will pat ourselves in the back a little bit, it's well managed, right? So, we try to make things really easy for people. And so it can be a really good first time marathon experience as well, because it's not too much, but it's just, it's kind of that Goldilocks. It's just right. That it's not too small that you feel like you're out there running by yourself, but it's not too big that you feel like, oh my God, this is overwhelming.
Well, kudos to your team for making all that happen. We're going to take one more quick break, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about the future of Richmond.
So you've probably figured out by now that Richmond Water is on West Broad Street. But where the heck else is it?
You can find us online. We're at drinkrichmondwater.com, and there's lots of ways to engage with our website here, but if you come all the way down the bottom, that's where you will find the map of free refill stations across the city. Just open this Google map that we have here that you can submit to at any time, and you'll find these pink dots are the Richmond Water refill stations, of course, Broad Street, and then over at City Stadium. And then all of the little blue dots are other places that have water refill stations where you can get free water across Richmond City. Join us in making free water more accessible on drinkrichmondwater.com.
Hello, and welcome back to America's Healthiest City on Channel RVA. Today I have Will Dixon, the Executive Director of Sports Backers, in the studio, and we're talking about fitness and all the things that our city has to offer for folks here and folks who visit. I am always curious about the future of Richmond, and I want to go back just a little bit because I've been here since 2017, and I've lived in a couple of different areas in the city, and I've had the opportunity to see in just a year's time in 2017 when I moved here, Churchill change in a year's time. And I lived in the North Side for 5 years, and I watched North Side change. And now I live in Carver, right across from Maggie Walker High School, and that's been a really interesting. I've been there for about 3 years, and I first moved in, the corner of Lee and Lombardi was vehicular traffic only for the most part. And you'd see some foot traffic. But now, today, I go to the gym at 6 a.m. I see people riding their bikes down that way. I'm in that area during the day, and I see a lot of foot traffic, people walking, to the north side, east and west. I see running groups at the corner of Hermitage and Lee. I never saw any of that stuff before, and it's just so cool to see our city come into life. And now you've been here for longer. Yeah. Tell me about what your experience is with that. Have you seen that same thing? Has it been profound in any other ways for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great observation. As I mentioned, I grew up out in the West End, Short Pump. I'm out in the burbs, and I didn't spend a whole lot of time downtown Richmond as a kid. When I went off to college and I came back, I moved a little closer to the city, but still kind of out off Monument Avenue, like Monument Libby area. When I started Sports Backers in 2008, our whole focus was on economic development. It was on how can we bring people from outside of the Richmond region, come to Richmond, spend your dollars, generate tax revenue, benefit the whole region through that kind of tourism cycle. In 2012, we made this shift to more, okay, how can we make this a vibrant, active community through sports, through physical activity? And so that really swung the doors wide open for really trying to change the culture from the inside And then people will want to come here because of that culture. People will want to travel here because, yes, we have the big point, the big events, but they're also going to want to come here because we have great biking and pedestrian infrastructure. We have great riverfront amenities. We have, great access to the outdoors and things like that people will travel for. So what has happened is, and this is not just a purely credit to sports backers, but what's happened over that time is that you get these leaders. Leaders are developed internally here that are going to do things like start up run clubs, or that are going to be in positions on their HOA boards that are to say, hey, I want a sidewalk fixed, or I want a bike lane added here, or we need a stop sign for pedestrian safety added here, a crosswalk, whatever it may be. So as people have more opportunities to engage and learn that they really appreciate being physically active, they will identify ways that they can shape the communities that they live in. And so your example of Lombardi and Lee, it took somebody saying, hey, like, we need something to change here for, to make this a better bikeable or walkable place to be. And so we do have it. We have an academy that trains people how to engage around advocacy for bike and pedestrian infrastructure and safety. And that matters, right? When you grow the expertise locally and you show people that they can actually help shape the communities in which they live, and you provide them a platform to learn that they love things like running or cycling or walking or lifting or whatever it may be, then that's how over time cultures can actually change and communities can be shaped. So it's a long-winded way of saying, like, yeah, that's happening. And people are more out and about now because there is, in a lot of cases, a better place for them to be out and about. And I think that there's also an attraction of like-minded people that want to be out and about, there's more of them here now than there were, say, again, 20 so plus years ago. So I think that there's just a shift in an evolution in what Richmonders like to do. And again, that I think that creating that canvas of giving them the opportunity to do it and the voice to help them shape that space for themselves is part of the role that we'd like to play.
A lot of things converging at once to make us a better place. So I've got kind of a rapid fire round. It used to be just a couple of questions, but we'll make it harder. What's an idea that we might add to our ideas board, a way, perhaps small, maybe something bigger, that folks in the community could do to contribute to us becoming the healthiest region in America by 2033?
Oof, that's a big question. I hope this doesn't come across as a cop-out. But one of my frustrations is that we talk to people, if I tell people I work at Sports Backers, they'd be like, oh, you must be a runner. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of a runner. Like, I'm not like a runner. I actually enjoy walking these days more than I do running. And they always put themselves down. They always say, oh yeah, I can never run, or I can't do that. That's, those marathons aren't for me. And it's kind of like, well, actually they can be. And one of the goals that we have is to make what we do in physical activity incredibly accessible for everybody, whether that's from a cost standpoint or from a pace standpoint. So this I'm going to get to your question, I think, but give yourself more credit than what you currently are. If you can, all you can do is step outside and walk to the stop sign and get back to your house, like, that's okay. That's a first step. And so I think that first step is incredibly important. And no matter where you are on your journey, there's that, just accept that. That's okay. And that's not a bad thing or a better thing or a worse thing. It's just a thing. It's just the situation. So just take that first step and stop putting yourself down and keep on striving for improvement. And ultimately, I think that again, I'm going to come back to, I think that will infuse the entire community to understand that, like, okay, you don't have to be a marathon runner to be healthy. You don't have to be a marathon walker to be healthy. You just have to make small decisions every day to try to improve a little bit here, a little bit there, and eventually that will all add up. I don't know if that actually answers your question directly, but that's how I think about my own, because it's real easy to just be like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. And it's like, yeah, but if you don't try to do something, then you'll never improve. Like, that's how all of us learn and try to, make the best of this short time that we have here.
I had Aubrey Eicher from the Well Personal Fitness in not long ago, and we shared a clip today. And I, in the caption, I just said, hey, like, it doesn't matter how much you do, it's that you do it every day and you develop the habit, because it's always harder before you start. And then after you've done it a little while, it's easy. I did 100 burpees today, and most people would say, like, that's not doing it, but
I would say that as well. It sounds miserable.
well, and if you can take me back 3 years ago, before I went to the gym on a regular basis, or the first 6 months that I was going to the gym and tried to do 100 burpees in 21 minutes plus other activities, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So, but it's like, now when I think about it, and other people say like, oh, burpees are hard. In my mind, they're not. Yeah, they're not hard anymore. And I don't mind thinking about doing a bunch of 15 reps of burpees. It's feels good to know that my body can do it.
Yeah, but I will also say